Hey there everybody, I'm Jake McNeal. I'm the creator of Crosswalk the game, and you're watching the 8th episode for my devlog series on my new and upcoming game, Crosswalk Joyride. In the last video, we ended with rigging our character, applying a weight paint, and setting up the animations for our character Tommy. So in this video I wanted to bring it in to Unity. But what I did was I added the animations in so that Tommy can walk. And he only walks in place currently, but so far it's looking pretty good. So the next thing I did was I added the movement in for the character. And this is just a simple script that just has it walking forward in whichever direction that it's facing. And it looks pretty nice. I mean, the movement's fluid and everything. It doesn't have physics applied to it. All it does is walk forward currently. So now that I had it set up with walking and everything, I added some rigid bodies and some colliders, and I decided to see what it would look like with collisions before I add in the ragdoll, which I'm going to do. And basically what happens is it works. It would just send him flipping and everything, but it doesn't control well because he either turns completely, flies off screen, or he does like a backflip. But he's still doing his animation while he's doing it, which looks a little odd, so we'll fix that. So my next undertaking, I had to make the ragdoll for Tommy. Unity has a built-in system for this, and basically you just take the bones that you made and apply them to the ones that they have set for their ragdoll system, for humanoid systems anyway. And what this did was it created this effect where the physics were all out of whack. Tommy was flying around the screen, and it's just not what we wanted. So the physics were going out of whack because the way I set up the ragdoll system in Unity, I apparently put in the wrong bones, or that's at least what I thought. So I went to fix that and came up with this, where the character wasn't spazzing around the screen anymore, but it's definitely not good either.
When you're out at a club and you see a fly girl, do the creep, and do the creep.
So to narrow this down a little bit further, I decided that it was probably in my best interest to make Tommy a little bit larger in the screen so that I could see what I was doing more clearly. So not only did I do that, but I also removed the movement, because the movement with it was throwing the physics off, and I just wanted to see if the ragdoll system would work and that he could fall down just normally. So now with that applied, Tommy did fall down the right way, kind of. His feet were still glued to the ground for some reason. But when the cars hit him, it did affect him in the way that I kind of wanted it to, and the rest of his body was in the system of a ragdoll. So I decided to see what the system would look like if I added back some movement. And I ran into more problems, as you can probably have guessed. With the movement added, Tommy was walking. You could see it with his legs, but his torso was spinning, which is a little odd. The problem was the colliders on the mesh were overlapping a little bit, and it was causing this weird physics turning thing. So after I fixed that, I ran it again, and we could see that he was walking, but the top of his torso was still falling down, which shouldn't have been the case because the way I'd set him up in Unity was that the ragdoll effect would only happen after a collision, but obviously something was going wrong. So after some experimentation, I decided that I needed to take away the movement to fix the feet before I could solve any of my overlooking problems. So this built-in system with Unity ended up not using the bones in the feet that I had set up, even though I had put them in my ragdoll system. So I ended up having to just add in my own, and then the feet seemed to work. So I tested this, and the gravity system seemed to work okay. There was a little bit of twisting, but in the fast gameplay, you're not gonna see it, so it really is okay. To make things easier for future testing, I decided that I needed to make a way where it wasn't just gonna immediately fall down or it had to be collided with. So I added a button press, so if you press L on the keyboard, he'll just instantly fall, almost like he got shot. So now that his physics on command were working and he was falling down in a way that I liked, I decided to try testing it on the road itself, so putting Tommy in the road to see how cars would react to him. It worked surprisingly well. The physics seemed to be accurate. He wasn't spazzing around the screen. When the cars hit him, he would flip around a few times and then land softly on the ground. Well, not softly, but he'd land on the ground. So I put him back on the sidewalk, and now it's time to test him walking to make sure that there's no problems. And hopefully this would work. And it looked on first impressions that it was going to work. But if you waited long enough, I noticed that he would suddenly just fall over. He would topple over, and his feet would keep walking straight, but his body was, or his torso was wrong. But that was an easy fix. All I needed to do was I went to his main collider and adjusted the rotation of the object so that all of them were freezed in the same rotation until a collision occurred. So this way it was impossible for him to rotate, and now he could walk flawlessly.
Absolutely flawless.
So I know what you're thinking. Can you make it across the street? You know, cross the walk, crosswalk. Well, he can. Now, anyway. Originally, I tested it and there was some problems. I was originally using a box collider for his collision, but I changed it to a capsule collider so that he could go over the edges, because before he was getting stuck at the curbs. But now he can come over them and he looks good.
Why you gotta be so rude? Don't you know I'm you?
So now that Tommy was capable of walking correctly and his ragdoll system was working very nicely, I decided to add a knockback system. So when you hit him with your car, he doesn't just fall immediately. He would be propelled forward by the motion of your car. So I basically just added a knockback statement to my collision method. So when a collision occurred, he would be knocked back. And this also worked when I pressed L. So I went to test it out and things kind of went to
Watch your profanity.
So I ended up fixing it. What was happening was I added knockback to a few different bones on the ragdoll itself, and this would create this kind of effect where it was like going like this, or at least that's what I thought. But I was doing all of them with an initial knockback, and that kind of made them all spaz in different directions, which made that stretching effect. So when I limited it down to just two, which was just the head and the torso, it did seem to look like it was actually knocked back at that point. So now that that works, the ragdoll works, and I tested it in the game, and to my success, it worked. And yeah, so now when you collide with the character, they'll instantly become a ragdoll and kind of flip around in the way that I kind of intended it. There's only like a couple things that I want to tweak it with, but so far it's looking good. So I would just like to thank you guys for watching this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys stick around to the end of the video and you watch it all. If you're curious and you want to play one of my games, Crosswalk the game is on the App Store. It's available on both the iPad and iPhone. And I'll have a link to that in the description. And if you're curious about my projects, I do update them sometimes on social media. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll have those linked in the description as well. And yeah, thanks for watching.